Okay, so in the last video I talked about 3 spots over here on the outskirts of San Francisco. The only thing though is that I talked about them as they were in the past, and we're visiting them in the current day. But we can kind of get an idea of what they used to look like using these. Let's go find out. First, we looked at Playland at the beach. And then we got a glimpse of the old Cliff House. And then finally ending at the Sutro Baths. But if you go just a little bit further up the hill, you'll discover one of the biggest reasons why these places even existed at all. At the corner of 48th Avenue and Point Lobos, you'll find a pair of majestic lion statues welcoming you to the former home of businessman, philanthropist, and one-time San Francisco mayor, Adolph Sutro. This is Sutro Park. Okay, so who is Adolph Sutro, what did he do, and why on earth did he build his mansion all the way here on the edge of the city? Well, let's start with the basics. Sutro was a German immigrant who came to San Francisco in the mid-1800s. He made most of his money building a tunnel through the Sierras and then selling all the shares in the company for about $5 million. That means Sutro took home an amount equal to $125 million in today's money. Not a bad payout for blasting holes into mountains. Upon his return to the city, Sutro purchased a bunch of land, including some crowd favorites like Mount Parnassus, Mount Davidson, and right here, Sutro Park. But it didn't even stop there. Like, rumor has it that by the peak of his land grab, he owned about 1/12 of the total acreage of San Francisco. Alright, so since I know that no one really knows what an acre actually looks like, I've got this handy map / cutting board to help us visualize exactly how much land Sutro owned. 1/12 of San Francisco is equal to about 8% of the city, or roughly 4 square miles, which I know doesn't sound like a whole lot until you realize that this was just one person we're talking about here. That's like owning everything along the waterfront from the marina to Potrero Hill. Or that's like having all of the Presidio and all of Golden Gate Park be your backyard with still enough left over to buy a nice mansion in Seacliff. But Sutro wasn't some kind of evil villain trying to take over the city. No, he was actually the opposite. He was a populist and wanted to share his wealth with the city's residents. And he did that by investing in land in various locations around the city, building something awesome, and essentially giving it back to the people of San Francisco. Both the old Cliff House and the baths were built because Sutro believed in this side of the city. You know, nobody thought the outside lands would be worth a dime, but he saw the spot and said, yep, I'm going to build my house here. It was a massive estate with flower beds, cannons, greenhouses. He even imported a bunch of these huge statues, though the only ones that are still here are the lions at the entrance, and this one, a replica of the Greek goddess Diana the Huntress. Today you'll find a good mix of dog walkers, tourists, and people just out on a leisurely stroll. It's way smaller than Golden Gate Park, so you won't get lost in it. It's way bigger though than your neighborhood playground. Like, even though this place is not the same grand estate that it was 100 years ago, I think Sutro's idea for a more beautiful San Francisco, it still lives on here. Sutro sadly passed away in 1898 with a lot of property, but surprisingly not a lot of money. The ownership of the park fell onto his daughter, who couldn't keep up with the maintenance, and the park was ultimately handed over to the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, and currently is federally funded under the National Park Service. So yeah, Sutro Park is here to stay. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't seen my first video, which was about the Sutro Baths and the Cliff House, both of which Sutro actually helped build, and also Playland, which he didn't live to see finish. You can actually watch that in the description below. I'll leave a link. If you want to see more of those really old photos that I use in the video, you can visit outsidelands.org. They're a really great resource for just all things old San Francisco, specifically on the western side of the city, so the Richmond and the Sunset, and they have photos dating all the way back to the 1850s, so please go check those out. Okay, we are losing a lot of light, so I'm gonna wrap this up here. So I hope you guys stick around for my next video, in which we'll be visiting one of my favorite places in the entire Richmond, Clement Street, otherwise known as Chinatown number 2. Alright, see you all at the next spot. So this cutting board actually came with some fun facts about San Francisco. Let's read them off here. Denim jeans were invented in San Francisco. During the Depression, not a single San Francisco-based bank failed. In 1867, San Francisco instituted America's first ugly law, which prohibited unsightly people from showing their faces in public. The Golden Gate Bridge is the world's second longest single span. It's continuously painted and repainted all the time because the bridge is so long that by the time the paint crew gets from one end to the other, it's time to start over again. I don't know if that's true. San Francisco was originally called Yerba Buena, a Spanish name meaning good herb or good grass.